back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today is a sponsored show by The Company Store, your premier source of luxury down bedding and home products. Back in episode 730, Corinne Bentzen, the CEO of The Company Store, joined us to talk about The Company Store's origin story. And today she's back again with Melanie Kaplan, the product development senior merchant. Melanie has a long history in both design and textiles, including being the senior VP of design for home furnishings at Dan River, a storied American textile company, and also the COO at Hanover Direct. Melanie joined The Company Store in 2017. Her energy, expertise, and leadership continue to inspire her colleagues, both past and present. Let's hear what Melanie and Corinne have to say about the difference in quality, process, commitment, and trend forecasting at The Company Store. Hey, Corinne, thanks so much for joining me again on A Well-Designed Business. It's so nice to have a chance to talk with you again.
Hi, Luann. So great to be back. Thanks again for having us on your show. And what great results you've seen. You have so many more downloads. How exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's crazy. All of a sudden, we're just doubling and doing all the fun, crazy stuff. We've hit momentum. Every business loves it when they hit that moment, right?
It's amazing, and just so much opportunity out there for us to better serve all these designers and B2B clients. So
Exactly.
Really excited to be back.
Exactly. I'm so glad. And Melanie, welcome to you too. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and having this conversation with you today.
It's so nice to meet you, Luann, and we're so excited about discussing the Company Store brand with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely elated.
Great. So I would say, first of all, if you are new to the show, as Corinne mentioned, we have a lot of new listeners over the last couple of months. Corinne was originally here on episode 730, where she was telling us some of the origin story of the Company Store, as well as her connection to it. And I encourage you after this show to go back and listen to it, because it was a very special episode, hearing about the quality and the commitment that the Company Store has to their products and you, their consumer. And today, Melanie is going to talk to us a little bit more about the design process. And this is the part of the business that she oversees. So before we get into the design process, Melanie, tell me a little bit about your origin story in the industry and eventually to the Company Store.
Well, I have a design background and a textile background. After college, I went to an elite program of textile design and science because I always had a passion for fabric. I was always loving the color, always loving the cotton, the wools, and all of the fine fabrics that always surrounded us. So after college, I went and I went into a program which was a surface design, and that's where I focused on the home area. After college, I had several jobs that started actually at the grassroots studio, and I am a painter and a color specialist. From there, I decided that I needed to grow my career in a direction that I would have a career for my life. And that's where I became involved in what years ago was called a vertical mill. and the company was Dan River Mills. And there is where we had mills throughout the country, and that's where I had a hands-on education about all of the different weaving, dyeing, finishing, fabrication of home textiles. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I was there, I don't know, over 21 years. So, and we grew the brand. We sold to all the major retailers. And it was just an unbelievable experience. It was hands-on and it was hugely educational.
So tell me, what does that mean, vertical mill?
So what happened years ago is that there were companies that actually grew the cotton. They grew the cotton, they cleaned the cotton, they baled it. It was spun into fabric. It was spun into fiber, actually, woven into fabric. And we created designs, and we made sheeting and comforters and packaged it and sold it to major retailers throughout the country.
Wow. So basically it's just what it implies. It's like we have this entire process from bottom to top, from inception of growing cotton all the way to the finished product going to the consumer or to the retailer in that situation.
Yeah, and in
Wow.
those days when it was Dan River was down south, when you would get off the plane and drive to the mills, you would see beautiful cotton fields and you would smell the cotton fields. And it was very early in my career, and it was an unbelievable experience that I feel lucky that I have been able to experience and grow my career that way.
It reminds me of the CMO or the COO or whoever whoever is starts out in the mailroom, right? It's like you absolutely have understood and learned the business from the very, entry level of the industry to the top, right?
Absolutely. I
Very
would
cool.
remember going to the mills, and there were different mills. There were a comforter mill, there was a weaving shed, and there were cut and sew with sheeting. And you would open up the door and you would see all these women and men cutting and fabricating sheeting that was being packaged. And you would see in a couple of months it in the retail stores. So it was an unbelievably great experience. You felt like you were really contributing to people's quality of life through design.
Well, I love it. I love it. It's always interesting when you have the opportunity to do that, no matter like that is throughout your career and really spending many, many years learning and understanding. But what you were describing, I was kind of remember one time my husband and I took our kids to Italy years ago, and we visited Venice. And then we took the little, charter ship or whatever, charter gondola, whatever it was, to Murano, right? And you watch them blow the glass, and you're like, oh. And now when you went back to the Venice island, you were now looking at all the shops, and you had a very different perspective on the beautiful lighting and lamps and glass and artifacts and stuff that were there. It was like, huh. So that's so fun, and that's interesting. I like that. So now at the company store, you are tell us a little bit about the role there. Tell us what your objectives, your role is, and then I want you to start to talk to us about this design process and how it works within the company store.
Okay, well, I am responsible for the front end of our business, which is concept, trend, fabrication of product, visually merchandising the exclusive designs that we have with the other associates of our brand. It really does take a village, and I want you to understand that it does. We have a very passionate team of people, highly professional. Their careers have been the home area, and we focus on premium quality, comfort, color and pattern authority, and sustainability is always the top of mind. So all the team that I direct, They've been in the industry their whole careers, and they are specialists. They're not generalists. They understand the marketplace. They understand what makes a good product. They understand the technical attributes of what makes the best sheet or the most premium comforter. And we're lucky to have such a great, passionate team with such industry knowledge.
Well, and you know what this reminds me of here, Corinne, you remember you so kind to gift me a set of sheets and a comforter. And I have to tell you, literally, I mean, we talked about it when you said you come home from traveling in hotels and you get in your own bed and you're like, oh, so much better. I can't tell you how often I think of you and Paul as I get into bed.
I'm glad you're enjoying them, Luann.
It's the
And
truth.
Melanie underplays her role. So I will just say that she is the head of product development and creative at the company store, and she is just and for the listeners, you've just heard the wealth of expertise that she brings to our business. We sometimes nickname her the professor, and would like to take this opportunity to thank her. She never tires of sharing her passion for the brand, for the product. And I just encourage you, next time you have a piece of textile in your hands, whether it be, fabric, clothing, or your lovely bedding, just appreciate all the incredible work that goes into it.
That's well said, Corinne. We all just go pick the stuff up and don't give a thought to like the hundreds of hours and people and minds that have all contributed to that being in front of us, right? So good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, process of product development, and you are the head of it, Melanie. What happens? Like, here you have this beautiful line of products. You've talked about the comfort and the quality, which I 1000% can attest to the elevated difference of it. I'm not just saying that. I'm literally, truly expressing that to you. I do have that thought on the regular. This is so nice. I think to myself, this is better than anything I've had before. And so what is it? Like, what is your day like? What is your week like? How do you turn around and look at all your products and go, what else do we need? I mean, how does this work?
Well, it's really an ongoing process. And, people ask me this all the time. And my answer is there's no formula to it. It's innate in the team and in myself. We know what we need. We always study the customer. Every design that we have is exclusive patents. They're created by our in-house studio, and we have global design partners all over the world. And it's been the experience of mine that partnership is so much a part of the success of this brand. We have great suppliers that understand our mission. We have design people that are so talented and understand what the direction and the vision of our established company store. So it's an ongoing process. We think about the lifestyle. We think about the quality that it needs to represent. We never shortcut anything within this brand. When lots of other brands look at, a price point, or they look at making, product that maybe is less than premium, the premium quality is the most important key factor of this brand. And we show it through the verification of the different cottons that we use, such as Egyptian, Sapima. If it's all natural fibers, it's the best quality that money can buy. And we have partnered with the best suppliers throughout the globe, depending upon the fabric that we are producing. So a lot of the times, the country dictates what product we are going to create within that area.
So I would say that a large part of your role is, I guess, establishing isn't the right word. The company store has a very clear mission and vision for themselves. But it sounds like to me a very integral part of your role is making sure all of the people that are within your department that are working on product development and creativity really do know that mission and vision, because you're saying that your number one thing is premium quality. So we don't need some, wonderfully talented creative person saying, hey, I can make this look like that. It won't cost as much. It doesn't feel as good, but it'll look the same. Like everybody, it sounds like to me, it's your responsibility to make sure they really do understand the values, so that when they come up with their ideas and the process starts to be put into motion, that they all stay on the same page. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
We all think the same. I mean, Corinne could, attest to that. We have a vision and we have a mission, and we never deviate. Okay, we have the best quality cottons. We have the best down and feather, best quality. It's clean. It's recycled. It's repurposed. Everything that we do is top drawer, and that is what the sheets and all of the different products that we do create premium. And that's how it is. We never ever deviate, Luann.
You sound like you're talking about with your kids. Like that's like that, when somebody's like, my kids are the best.
But it is. They are our kids, actually, because you have to. Corinne and I always laugh. We're like cheerleaders. We are very passionate about what we do. And I think that's like the key element. You have to have the passion within to execute what we have to do. And there's not a lot of brands in the industry, and I can vouch for it, that has the expertise of the company store.
Yeah, no, and Luann, you touched on it, but I am sitting here smiling because you can just hear Melanie's pride, right?
Yes.
And just because there's so much hard work that goes into this, and again, delivering just the best quality at the right price for our consumers. One thing I did want to just highlight, and when you go on to creativity, and one thing that's quite unique about the company store, and I think, Melanie, you were the one to actually bring this to the brand, or you can correct me on this, but is we actually have a very seasonal approach to the business. So we are, unlike many others, you can compare us more to apparel, to the fashion apparel world, where we have a spring summer collection and a fall winter collection. So we are constantly innovating and bringing new fresh looks to our customers, so that they can change their rooms or homes to represent the different moods of the season. And this is something that Melanie and the team just do wonderfully well, for looking at the trends and then designing products against them.
So
Correct.
That's an interesting thing, because that sort of, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I always say all the time, I don't really follow design so much anymore, right? But I follow the business part of it, the back end part. But that is such, when I remember my beginning days at Window Works back in the 80s and the 90s, that was like de rigueur. Like you had your summer comforters and your summer, throws and your summer curtains, and then you had your winter ones, you know what I mean? And you just really did change seasonally. So you are finding that that is still a big thing across the country and probably globally, that people love the idea of freshening up seasonally, and I'm sure it's also the weight and all of that, but just color and style and all of that is happening still.
Yes. So Luann, what we have is kind of different layers. We have a core color range, and we have many. Each color palette is dictated by a thread count or a level. So we would start with a company cotton, which is our core percale. We have satins, we have twills, we have all different types of fabrics that we kind of develop with the master bedroom or primary bedroom as a direction. So we have Egyptian cotton satins, which have a hotel kind of look that are embroidered. And then we have a full palette of wrinkle-free, which is a very, very key fabric for us. And it comes in two levels. It comes in a 450 Supima quality, which is America's grown cotton. And then we have a 300 wrinkle free with different price points and different color palettes. Then we have a company Percale, which is a great 300 Percale sheet, very much like a bespoke shirt. So each of the palettes kind of have their own essence. So you have core, and then every season we will add a couple of very key trend colors that are fully researched by the team. So there's always newness, and it's very easily presented on the web and in our catalogs that you could add a new trend color to an existing core color and give it a freshness and a newness. We are the color authority. We have never, ever been afraid of color. In fact, we love it. And that is a distinction of the company store. And we also have very unique types of printed design that when I came to the brand, I had looked in the marketplace and I had identified a void within the sheeting area. So we have really developed this type of what Corinne has says with seasonality about 15 years ago. So when you would look what we offer, it really gives a very high-end designer look, or fully coordinated, that it could be mixed and matched. Different palettes could coordinate with one another, and it creates a lifestyle that has a wide appeal to our consumer.
So I have a question for you. As you were describing all of the different levels of quality that are available within the program, is there a mechanism within the company store for educating and helping the interior designer to know which one to specify for their client? Is there, I mean, I'm totally taking guys off guard on this, but is there little sampling swatches? Is there descriptions of why you would use one level of thread count and percale or supima over another? I mean, all of the names and all of those descriptions, of course, they're familiar to me. I'm a consumer. I've bought sheets before, but I couldn't tell you that I actually knew what any of them meant. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we have updated our website. How long ago, Corinne? 2 years ago, since you're here?
We continuously update it, Melanie, to have all the latest. So yes, we have Luann sheet guides, a wonderful sheet guide that the team put a tremendous amount of effort to explain exactly that. But yes, you can absolutely get swatches. So we have a fantastic customer care team with a dedicated, team for all our B2B partners, and would be happy to provide swatches to enable people to make the right decisions for them. Because whilst we can say that percale is a lighter cotton and something you might want to sleep in the summer, we find that people are enjoying satines as well. Linen is becoming a year-round fabric. So it's really, it really has to do with personal preferences, and our customer care team is exactly there to work through that with our customers.
Yes, they are really our sleep specialists, and they are fabulous people. And the customers they all ask very directed questions, and they'll make sure that the customer is 100% happy with their purchase.
Well, I love it. And because, that is the type of support that an interior designer needs when you're going to recommend bedding is, this is not like, hey, I sort of like that lamp. I don't know. Like you're going to lay on this thing. You're going to sleep on this. Your comfort is key and critical, and it can be judged, way more harshly than, the walking on a particular area rug, for example. So when I think about all of the offerings that you have, just from the standpoint of the quality differences and the levels of availability based on, like you said, comfort, thickness, airability, all the things. I don't want to go into that without some knowledge. I would want to do my research. So it's good to know that we can just come to the website and get that. And then you were talking about how one of the distinctive features of the company store has always been how you lean into color and are not just a company of neutrals. And as far as your work with trend forecasting and so forth, Melanie, are you finding, I mean, it seems to me that color is popping everywhere now all of a sudden like that. There's still the designers out there that are doing the white on the white on the white on the white, but I feel like just my casual observance of Instagram, I'm feeling like there's a lot more boldness in leading with color. Is that just me noticing it, or is it actually happening?
No, it is happening. I mean, white sheets are our favorites. Of course it is. But the color, and I think that you are just so, you get, you see it with everything that you do. There's a lot of different patterns now. Wall covering is coming on strong. People aren't afraid to add accents into their room. We look at it that the room should be the essential or the showplace, and that bed and that comforter should be the key attribute of that whole room. That's really what it is. And you could change it very easily by just a different duvet pattern or a different color using, existing sheets. Print on print is also very interesting and very, very fashionable now. Anything and everything goes well. And we just make it easy for the consumer to couple it or to change a color forecast that we see coming, like the warm palettes of the neutrals and the coppery tones. And you could mix it with the grays now, the neutrals. It changes. You give a personality that you feel comfortable with. And we offer everything within that website.
It's funny that you just mentioned the coming warm palettes that are coming in the coppery tones. I just was at High Point recently, and Stacy Garcia is an expert in color trends and forecasting, and she sits on, and I'll never remember the name of it, but some international color forecasting board. I don't know what it is. But, on this board are the manufacturers of the auto industry and, all of the things. It's not just the design industry. And she said to everyone that beiges and ivories are coming back. And literally, you could almost hear the room sigh. Like, are you really? Like, I even said it to a couple of young designers the next day. They're like, no. I'm like, hey, if Stacy Garcia said it, it's happening. And now you're confirming it as well. So that's interesting.
we would also sigh at a sea of beige, even though we definitely we definitely provide beige. But you're right, Luann, and I find my Instagram, and when we look at the color forecast, there's a lot of color there, and we're having a lot of fun with it. Including all these beautiful patterns that we offer on the bed that we like to think of as wallpaper on a bed, So if you don't want to commit to a full wall of wallpaper, have fun, just change.
Definitely. I love it. I love it. And, it's funny, too, because, Melanie, you mentioned how the grays, are going to coordinate with the warmer colors that you see trending in. And Stacy as well. She was discussing her new line of area rugs, and she specifically said, we're designing them with grays in it that match and will coordinate with these warmer colors, because not every consumer is just going to rip their whole, like if they've got gray tile or gray countertops or whatever, they're not going to rip the whole thing out. But if when they another year or 6 months or down the road, when they want to get into the new trend, the rugs that coordinate with both ways. And so it sounds like that's what you're doing in your patterns as well, is that you're yeah. So that's interesting how you guys think that through.
Well, because we're students of the industry, and you look at it as a very logical transition. So just by merely putting in a different decorative pillow on a beige couch, you could change the whole color direction and forecast, and it's easy.
Right.
And the woman, she's right. Someone's not going to clear their whole home. So you want to give them color steps that are going to add to the trend right forecast.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, so you can step into it, and maybe by 4 or 5 years from now, maybe you will pull out your gray, whatever it was, or blah blah blah. But okay, so that's really it's interesting. It's always interesting to see how things that just appear in front of you have so much thought by experts like yourselves in getting it in front of us, right? I just always find that very fascinating. So, talk to me a little bit about I know that we've talked about how premium quality is your number one driver. And then, there's a process of this, of doing this artisanal quality. And I guess you mentioned a little bit about the sourcing, but go into a little bit more of how you decide who you'll work with or what will make the cut or what won't make the cut. What does that look like?
Okay, well, it depends on the product. Okay, so what happens is in our sheeting world, we have partnered up with the most the highest end weavers of cotton sheeting, because we are a natural brand. So all of our sheets are 100% cotton, and the cotton is of the premium quality cotton. And a lot of the verification of quality is shown through a combed cotton, which means that the cotton is cleaned and it's spun, so it's a long staple. So the longer the staple of the cotton, the smoother the feel of the sheet. Mm. And then we have some step-ups. We have step-ups with Egyptian. There's a certificate. The Egyptian cotton comes from Egypt, so it's authentic. Everything we do is authentic. Supima, we've had a partnership with American farmers, cotton growers, and we purchased a harvest, and we developed it through one of our suppliers onto a 700 Supima cotton sateen. So it's all different. We always look at trying to be ahead of our competition. We're students of the industry, and we always are looking at a different construction or a different way to create the best sheet that we could offer to our customer.
Just thinking about that, you could go on autopilot. I'm just going to say you're an established company with decades of experience and decades of proof of concept that the product that you are creating and delivering and designing is of the highest quality and works. So you could just put it on autopilot and keep doing what you're doing. But it's interesting to learn that you are describing how you're consistently on the lookout for how you can make a near perfect sheet more perfect. It's crazy, actually.
Well, that's how you get the best you can be, right? I truly believe in education, and we are educated every day. And we reach out to all of the global suppliers and all of the different aspects of our industry, because you never know, Luann, where you're going to learn something. And then a concept triggers an actual product. And I think what's very I don't know. I guess what's special about this brand is that the people behind the brand have such experience that other brands may not have or don't have.
Right.
So it's experience, and we've lived through, understanding what the consumer wants and what we want to be to the consumer. I think that's a very important aspect of the company store team.
I'm sorry. I just have to chuckle again here. Like, the people behind the brand, you know what I mean? They are the best. Like, she is literally, Corinne, she's literally like, it is like listening to somebody tell you about their kids. It's like, no, my kids really are the best ones ever.
And she's like that at work every day, Luann, and her kids definitely feel like her kids. And
I mean, it's just so nice. It's inspiring, actually. It really, for me, it hits me like it's what it is, I've said it. I'm now hearing all this through the filter of experiencing this quality the last 6 months. And I'm like, well, no wonder they feel so great.
No, no, and Melanie and the team are just, relentless at continuously seeking the best. And you say, you could just sort of cruise. I think, the retail world is a little unforgiving, right? And there's no time to breathe. So there's always something new on the market to make us be better. So I do think, we get a lot of inspiration from others as well. So, want to recognize that as well. But also we owe it to the world to always do better, right? And back to sustainability, there are always more responsible ways of doing things, right? So we're constantly looking at, are there different types of fabric that we can use that use less water, that use less dye. So there's always something that we can improve on, and we are relentless at going forward with that, to the point that sometimes we end a day and we say we're a little tired.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We're just a little tired. So I was going to turn to that also, the sustainability element of it, because I remember we touched on it a little bit in our first conversation, Corinne. And so that's interesting. So it's all the way down to little details like how can we use less water in our manufacturing or use less dye? Because, of course, it sounds like a simple, really, does it matter? But when you think about the level of the quantity that you produce, right? A little less water every single day, gallon, whatever it is that you use it for, adds up with a company of your size, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
the supply.
Go
Yes,
for it. You
no, absolutely. But it's not only us. These suppliers could very well be producing different fabrics for the world. So, for case in point, we have one of our major towel suppliers. They have zero discharge water. All of the water that is used in the dyeing and the finishing in the entire plant is recycled. So it's zero waste of the water. And they were one of the first suppliers to have this type of system. So, we thought it was really an important attribute for a supplier. And we have a major program with this supplier. So we always think of bettering the planet, and it's very important. It's a transition. We focus on, the global organic textile standard, which defines and ensures organic status of textiles from the harvesting of the raw materials all the way through environmentally and socially responsible manufacturing up to the labeling. And that's something that's very key to us. So some of our fabrics, actually all of our organic is thought about like this. Then we have what we're doing with our comforters. We have global recycle standards, which is a GRS. I mean, it's an international standard, and it sets requirements for the third-party certification of recycled inputs and maintaining the chain of custody. So the standard is established, and the goal to increase the use of recycled materials, again, with the social environmental criteria, is very important to us. We're transitioning the fill in some of our comforters, and within years it'll be 100% of recycled. We're recycling the fill of the down alt, responsible down standard in our down and feather. This is a standard that was developed to tackle the issues of animal welfare in the down supply chain. It enables companies to source down and feathers from a responsible source, knowing that the animals were humanly treated. So, the feather and down is a byproduct. It's meat first, and then the feathers is a byproduct. I mean, we're very cognizant about this type of information and, where all of the raw materials are going. Okotex, it certifies non-hazardous end products on all, components. So products that carry a standard 100 label, they've been tested and proven free of harmful levels of toxic substances. So we are very, very cognizant and working towards making the planet a better place for all of us.
Hmm. And what does that mean there? You said in the global recycle standards that there's making sure that the chain of custody is acknowledged or followed. What does that mean?
The process is watched and audited to make
Oh.
sure that there's no shortcuts.
Okay, so
Got it?
right.
Yeah,
So I was thinking of passing the product from one person to another, but you're saying the chain of custody in the process of fabrication, that they're not saying, "Hey, we do everything but these two things and don't tell anybody." Right?
Correct.
correct.
Okay. And I the elephant in the room for me right now is that obviously there are probably many companies out there that don't actually do this at all or do it only part of the way and are not thinking about the ways they can more and more be a part of this. Because I hear what you're saying. You're saying that in a few, you're transitioning to 100% recycled fill. So you've got a goal in mind, and it's not maybe possible on day one to do it, but you have a plan in each of the initiatives that pertain to sustainability on either you've achieved it or you're working towards it. It sounds like.
Correct. You know, as you once said, I believe, you can't turn the lights off,
Right, right,
right?
right,
So there's a transition and
right.
it's global. So you're partnering with suppliers that have the same vision as
Mm-hmm.
we do.
Mm-hmm.
And our protocols and audits are very key in maintaining the highest integrity.
Mm. And
Okay. And
I would think that that is another source of why and I've met three or four now employees of the company store, and every one of you is drinking the Kool-Aid, like legit. Like every one of you has this same pride and, commitment to excellence. Like it is noticeable to me through all of my dealings with you since I met Paul last summer. And I would just say that it just occurs to me that it's things like this too, knowing that the company has this higher mission and higher vision. Forget your regular day-to-day mission and vision for your company core culture and values, but this commitment to not this supplier because it's less expensive, but and it doesn't follow this chain of custody, so this supplier is who we'll go with. Like you're really vetting that, and that probably brings a lot of source of pride to everybody at the company store, I would think.
absolutely. And that's what it's part of our passion.
Mm-hmm.
We all use our product. We love it. People don't understand what really what goes into the product.
Mm.
And we live and breathe it. And we believe in this brand.
Now, I'm just laughing again, but yes, all the kids are amazing. I'm not making fun of you. You know that. I am admiring this. If I even had half of my employees talk about the companies that I have been a part of, Vinny and I have been a part of, that like this, I'd be like, high five to us. So I am like, whoa, we got some homework to do. I'm not sure everybody's talking about us the way you guys are talking about the company store. So I just really admire it. But my question in this sustainability context is, are there challenges that there has to be hard decisions that come along, and so what are some of the challenges that you face and the hard decisions that you've had to make in order to keep the lights on but then still stay on mission?
So, Corinne, you could talk about,
This is where I don't always make friends, Luann, but we no, I do believe in making the tough choices, and sometimes it means that we are not happy with the quality. I think I mentioned it in the last show, but I'm going to brag a little. We're at an average of 4.8 star rating, and we're extremely proud of it. But sometimes, some things just don't quite meet that standard, and we decide to pull them off. And so it is it's a cost to the business. But again, just to be able to really, be as passionate as we are, and to feel like we can promise our consumers the best quality on the market at that price, that we have to make those tough choices. And when things are not quite right, we simply have to part ways with it.
So what
And we do.
And so yeah, so what you're saying is it might be a good product from a standpoint of profitability, that it looks good, all the things, but if it is consistently getting lower ratings by the end consumer, you're just going to say, sorry, this is out. We're not doing this anymore. And there's one person that's standing there saying, but we make a lot of money on this. And you're like, doesn't matter. It's out.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and
Correct.
we would probably, Luann, re-engineer it to make it a better product.
For interior designers, that's the correlation of when they know that a project isn't right for them. There's a lot of times when you go in and you have a consultation with a potential client and you're talking to them and you're looking around and you're saying, this would be a great room to redo. I can see the potential, blah, blah, blah. But there's also something working at you in the back of your head saying, don't do it, don't do it. And it's hard at that moment because you're looking at the bird in the hand. You can close the sale. You know that you can do a good project here if the client weren't in the room probably, or so that the GC wasn't the one on the project. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why you might get a red flag, but having the courage to pull it back and say, no way, I'm not doing this. And I can't imagine that on a company-wide scale. That's one person with the voices in their own head saying, yes, no. But for you.
and even as a team, we have to debate it, right? Because a lot of work goes into each and every one of these products. And no, we've had a couple that we've had to part ways with, and while the decision is tough in the moment, when we look back, we know we absolutely did the right thing. And one of the ones we were extremely proud and have had tremendous success with, we're getting out of the winter, Luann, so less of it, but we now source our flannel directly from Portugal, which are experts on this, and we relaunched our whole flannel business last fall, and seeing tremendous success. So whilst it was difficult to make that decision nearly 18 months ago, we couldn't be happier with the results.
Well, that also comes from experience in leadership, which both of you have. When you know it as the leader, that this is the way to go. And however you come to know it by seeking each other's counsel, by looking at reviews, by taking, having meetings with your various people. But ultimately it comes down to each of you as the leader in your various areas of the business, right? And just saying no, or pulling it back, or saying yes. But it's that leadership experience over time when it's successful once and twice. And now, like, you're sitting here 18 months later and you're saying, that was hard, but look at the result. It's good. That's a seasoned leader, right? Where you're scared to do something. Everybody's nutso about you doing it, but you have that inner compass that says, I'm capable of making hard decisions, and I'm capable of knowing that they mostly will work out if I've done my due diligence and arriving at it. Right, Corinne?
Absolutely, Luann. A little bit of sweat and tears on the way, but yes.
Never easy to do it, but if it were, everybody would be the darn leader. Let's be serious, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, and again, and Melanie's been instrumental in making these things happen, and she was the one that's like, no, this is not good enough. We're gonna have to, and resourcing and finding new partners and making sure that those partners, have that. Have the right certifications, that they operate in a sustainable way, is a huge amount of effort every single time. So huge thank you.
That's also a sign of good leadership and a good company when you surround yourself with people who you know and can rely on, like the two of you know you can rely on each other and your opinions, and that you have a shared vision for what's happening. And when it comes down to it, it was interesting, and it actually illustrates what I can see has probably been the trajectory of some of those hard decisions. If you, Corinne, are the one tasked with pulling the plug on something because of, whatever the reasons, whether it's profitability or quality control or whatever, it was interesting to hear Melanie's first thing was, and then we're going to go make it better. We're going to go, because she's the design aspect, she's the product development aspect. She's like, okay, so that doesn't work. Let's go make it better. So that's a great team environment right there. I love that.
It really is. It's not always all flowers. We have our, we have our disagreements, but we enjoy debating things together, and I think it makes us a better team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So good. Anything that I didn't ask you about the company store that you'd love to make sure that we know about before we end this conversation today from either of you?
I think just, and Luann, just a reminder to all your listeners, we have a fantastic customer care team. We have, Luann, you mentioned Paul. Paul has been taking care of our interior designers for over 30 years. He knows what you need. He knows your time constraints, and so can work with you. We offer preferential discounts as well to help you bring the right looks to your clients. So we really look forward to partnering with you. Please look us up on thecompanystore.com.
Melanie, did you want to add something or should I just close it out?
When you sleep on our sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anyone else's.
I love it. And that is so true. I just have to say. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. I really do appreciate it. I just love to hear the passion that the two of you have for the company store. It's one of my favorite things about any company, whether it's the company store, whether it's a designer's business, whatever it is, when somebody is just totally jacked about what they do, that is just intoxicating. And so it's just outstanding. So thank you so much for sharing your passion and your joy with us today.
Thank you, Luann.
Thank you, Luann. Nice meeting you.
I am impressed by Melanie's energy, her openness, and of course, her admiration for the people that she works with. I can't think of a time where I've had somebody on the show absolutely laud their team to such an extreme degree. It's like listening to a parent brag about their children, right? I said it during the show in the absolute best possible way. There are characteristics that I've seen time and time again in successful people who in turn contribute to successful brands. And one of those is undoubtedly passion. That's something Melanie has no shortage of. You can hear in the tone of her voice and the words she chooses how proud she is of the company store, of their culture, and of the people that she works with. You heard Melanie describe the company store's values: premium quality, comfort, color, pattern authority, and sustainability. As you hear these ladies talk, you can clearly hear their commitment to each of these things. Think about your company and what do you say about it to others? Can they hear your pride and passion when you talk about your own company? Have you taken the time to identify your core values so you can talk about them, so that you can live them as you provide your services to your clients? First, the company store is about premium quality. Melanie and Corinne talked about their rating and how important it is for them to provide the best, even if that means sometimes eating some profit to discontinue a product that isn't quite cutting it. And how about Melanie piping in with, "We'll just make it better," living her dedication to the design process, right? Removing a product line that doesn't meet the standards is very similar to when you have to walk away from a project or a client that does not fit your company culture or your ideal project, right? It's not easy, and sometimes it costs you money, but this is the beginning of distinguishing yourself from ordinary to extraordinary. Strong, successful companies make the hard decisions to make the company better and stronger. Think about the ways you might need to do this. The color trend forecasting is another place where the company store shines. It's interesting to hear that they rotate out their products seasonally, always adding in a few new colors with every rotation. And yet they think comprehensively. How will this work together with the previous seasons? How can we help our customers so that they can jump on new trends without having to redesign everything, right? They're on the cutting edge of those color trends all the time, and they have to be in order to remain the leader in the industry that they are. I was also extremely impressed by their commitment to sustainability. I think that most of us understand this at this point, that sustainability is here to stay, and it should be here to stay, right? Clients care about this more than ever before, and it's only going to increase. At some point, sustainability isn't going to be this cool new niche, right? It will be a necessity, and with smart brands like Company Store leading the way, you will have the resources and options that your clients want. Listening to Melanie, I was reminded of how complex sustainability is. It's not just using recyclable materials or packaging, right? She explained how much more it is. It's the water output, the way the fabric is created, the ethics of the down feathers. They are thinking of every little nuance, and this is a good thing, right? If you remember when Susan Ingalls was here for she is was the director at the time of the Sustainable Furnishings Council. We'll put the episode in the show notes. She said that in their surveys, they found that 6 out of 10 consumers are interested in hearing from designers who provide them with information on environmentally safe and sustainable furnishings. Okay, 6 out of 10 consumers are interested. But she said the report also showed that 6 out of 10 consumers don't know where to find a designer who has this information and provides this in their services. Okay, so a vendor like the company store helps you be the answer to these consumers. Okay, this all ties back to what Melanie and Corinne were saying about how there's always room for improvement, education, innovation, and new and better ways of doing things. They work to learn more, to do better, to bring in even more quality from global partners, and to always be up on the trends, to be flexible and nimble in changing and improving. It's admirable, and it pays off in the quality of their products. I personally can testify to that. I encourage you to think about the kind of partnerships that you want to form in your business. And if today's episode resonated with you, then reach out. Order some swatches, learn about their textures, their colors, the quality, the different textiles they offer, and consider pointing your clients towards the company store and their products. You'll find the links in the show notes so that you can get your trade account open today. All right. Thank you again, Melanie and Corinne. It was so nice talking with you and learning more about the company store today. I really enjoyed it. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you'd like to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you want to learn more about exciting windows, where you can get education and resources to build a better window treatment business, go to excitingwindows.biz. Have an excellent day.